so bad. Let's see. There we are. Hello, everybody. Oh, what have I got going on? I've got like reverb going on pretty bad. Wonder why. I think that might be a little better. So we've got a new mic. I gotta kind of work on figuring out how that works. Hopefully this is working out pretty good. We're gonna find out. So you know, if anybody's on there, let me know what it sounds like. If it sounds good, if it sounds bad. You know, whatever needs to happen. Maybe I need to turn my speakers off on my computer. That way I'm not just hearing myself talk. That seems like better. I think that turns it off on my end, but not on your end. Anyway, welcome to the Pieces at Pat's Paints. I'm Pat. These are pieces. We paint them. Okay, so let's see. All right. Anyway, so we're working on Tyranids, and I'm checking to see if this works without the mic. And here we come up to the where it's actually streaming. Yep. Hey, I figured something out. Look at me go. Okay, so um, that's awesome. I think we're doing better. My friend Crypto Mikkel came over and helped get the camera set up and gave me this really nice microphone. It's really neat. It's blue. I love blue things. So anyway, it makes me happy to have a blue mic. So thank you, Crypto Mikkel. He also helped with our camera. Hopefully this is going to look better. He did some stuff, and then we found out we need to do some updating on the internet stuff. But I felt like we knew that was coming. Kristen and I both have been like, this internet sus. And it is in fact sus. Goodness sakes. So I'm having a little bit of coughing troubles today, but that's all right. But anyway, I think he's got it set up to where we almost can get like the whole palette out there and paint, and you guys can see the palette. Maybe if I move some other stuff around, we can get this figured out. Because that's awesome. That would be awesome for you to see everything I'm doing. Because that's what we want to do. I don't really use this unless we're making a whole lot of wash. So maybe we just move this guy out of view and we'll put this up there. Right? And you guys can see whatever colors I've got going on out there. And, you know, little Bobby Boy's back there still. Okay. And you got a new painting. That's a really cool little thing comes with it. I get to flip the paintings over and we'll have different paintings for a little while. Anyway, over the weekend, I did a lot of running around. My son had soccer games, and my other son went to a robotics thing, and he's into robotics. He's a super smart kid. So I did all that sort of stuff. And then we play a little Dungeons and Dragons, and with Crypto Mikkel and his family. So another big shout out to him. Lots of fun. But yeah, we had a little kids game just for funnies for children's. If you've ever played D&D with children, it's it's interesting when it's just kids. It's wild. They're super creative. And like you would expect the kids to go full murder hobo, you know, just go and kill things, but kids don't actually do that. Like kids in D&D games, they have a different expectation. They're like, well, why does it want to do that? And when you go into playing Dungeons and Dragons that way, it's a very different kind of thing. But anyway, which is fun. You know, it's always good to play with your children. If you have children, play with your kids. It's important. It makes them feel good. All right. So anyway, besides that, I did get these two little guys done for our Necron, or not Necron, Tyranid stuff. These are just little markers. They go with another unit that's already painted. That was part of my test phase for all of this. So that's what that was for. But right now we are working on the psychophage, and let's see. I think we need to bring this back up where I had it. We did a little bit of resetting, and now I gotta get everything set back up to where it works right and proper, you know. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you're just now learning, or maybe you don't paint at all. Then you don't ever plan on painting, which is also cool. You just like to either, I don't know, listen to us talk, or you're stopping by for the little bits of, you know, information I drop about the different things we do paint, or maybe you just find watching painting fascinating. Doesn't matter. I think it's awesome that you come by. I know we got a lot of folks that don't watch live, which so shout out to those folks, and big shout out to all my live people. I don't ever know who you are till you comment. So if you want me to say hello, and if I see it, I'm gonna try. Then I'll holla back at you. Gotta get the trusty paper towel. I used the other one up over the weekend, which is awesome. Alright, well, hopefully this mic level is right. It's staying in the greens, which looks good. I think we want to avoid it getting all the way into, like, the red. So, that's typically how it goes with mics. I think if I screamed at it, it probably would. I'm a pretty loud guy. Like, I can talk pretty loud in general. So, most time, all I have to do is be pretty close to a mic, and you can hear me talking. Which is probably advantageous for this whole thing. I'm going to slide a little bit closer over here. There we go. Oh, that's almost in the center of the screen. We could move the screen a little bit. That'd be helpful. Get the Millennium Falcon in there too, because the Falcon is awesome. Awesome. Okay, so here we go again. Last time we were putting in the beginnings of this magenta. And we were about to go for a wash, but we needed to finish up this piece here. Yes. That's where we were. It's hard to remember where we were after a weekend, man. Like, what were we doing again? Yeah, we want to make this one. We're going to make this one pretty magenta. And I don't think on the box art it's painted like this. I think they have it painted, they have it painted a little different. I think they make all this like one color, just for quickness. They'll also use those speed paints, which is, oh, you just kind of run it on there and it becomes, it looks like it's painted. It's pretty crazy. Or the dip paints. There's some of them you literally just dip the whole miniature into a paint. It's like a thinner paint that finds the recesses, and you can have like battle ready armies in just a few seconds, honestly. And like, if that's what you want to do, that's totally cool. I'm definitely not judging. Everybody should play the way they want to play. And if painting ain't your game, and you don't want to pay a guy like me to paint them for you, that may be your shtick. So that seems to work out all right. You guys, you can kind of see the palette back there. Looks like we can see the creature pretty good. I can see pretty good, which is nice. I'm rattling around my brushes a bit. Maybe we put them up here for now. We'll put our paintball right there. This ridiculous thing. If you want to know what this is, I will. This is all my leftover paint. Whenever I get done with these things, I roll the thing up around. I roll that around on it and put paint on it, and then let it dry. And I used to like pick up paint flakes and stuff, and I'm just making this giant ball of paint. I think I'm gonna cut it in half someday, and I'm gonna use it for like a portal or something, or maybe like several portals. I have a pretty good idea what I want to do with it, like in my head, but I don't want to talk too much about what I want to do with it, because I might use it in a game. And you know, I have people who play my games that watch this channel, so I don't want to say too much about my games, because then, you know, spoilers and all that. But yeah, yeah, it was a fun little game the kids are playing. My youngest son has this character that likes to carry produce around and hand it to people and ask them if they want to eat. He's a Goliath is his race, and so like he's a giant person and very intimidating in general, but he's a super happy-go-lucky guy. So it leads to much hilarity and annoyance. Like it gets a little bit old, but you know, he's a young kid. He's having a good time. I'm sure some of you guys have some kids. Hopefully you consider sharing your games with them. Dungeons and Dragons may not be what they're interested in, but maybe you can find another game they like. Play a game with them. Hey, there's Crypto McKell. How's everything sound? I think I have it set up pretty good. Seems to be picking me up all right anyway. Hopefully I don't sound too muffled or... Anyway, mic check, mic check, 1 2 1 2, mic. I maybe have a little too much fun in my life. Alright, so we're also going to start putting some magenta on the edges of these balls and down in here and the ball's shoulders, the edges of the ball part of the shoulder. We don't want to come too far down because we're going to end up fading a lot of this in later. Same thing here. We want to kind of... There's places where I'll fade these in. It's kind of hard to describe until you see it done. Okay. I'm a little shaky today. I didn't even drink any coffee yet. So anyway, we were talking about Tyranids last time, and we had a whole lot of hilarity going on. I think we got involved in that. So Tyranids are it's a hive fleet, like I've said before, and they'll consume entire worlds and then move on to the next. And I first encountered them way out in the outer reaches of space. By the time the Imperium found out that anything was wrong, or they had basically just not heard from this place in a while, so they decided to send somebody out to go figure out what happened, and they found a rock with like nothing, and they went down, and underneath the ground, way down, is a vault of information that's stored by a group of people called the Mechanicus, which are like tech freaks. Certain technology is banished in this time period, in this timeline, and they kind of covet technology and understand technology better than anybody. So the tech priests went down to go see what was going on and recover this information from the vault, and that's when they found out about Tyranids and what was happening. And then there's a big long saga. Some really great YouTube lore people out there that I love listening to. Luton is really good. So is Adeptus Ridiculous. They're funny. Wes Hammer he doesn't always get it right, but he's a good guy, and he sometimes he gets wrapped up in the memes of Warhammer. Same with Major Kill, who's also funny. He's from Australia. Alright, right in here, I want to kind of give some of this stuff some color details to change things up in these crevices. This will look a lot better down the road when we start blending in all these colors. Right now it just looks like I'm just poking in weird places, but I'm trying to get the deepest sections of the flesh to have this magenta color. And then as we blend it together with all the other colors, it will get that fade effect, which is, you can see it here on these tentacles. So we're gonna do this in and out of its whole body. So this thing's gonna look really crazy. It's gonna have a gradient that's gonna flow in an interesting way. So we'll see when it gets all said and done. We'll see how much you guys like it, and we'll see how much the interwebs like it. That's usually how this works, right? I gotta get popular with the people who like things on the interwebs, the internets. Does anybody even say interwebs anymore? Right click the mic on OBS, add filter, select gain, and increase it a tad. Right click. Okay. Right click on the mic. Filters. Okay. Thanks for the tip, by the way. Appreciate it. It's loading. It's trying to find filters. Okay, here we go. All right, got it. And then we need to do gain. Okay. And then we need to take it up just a tad. Take it up 1 decibel. Depending upon placement. Well, it may be so. I don't know. I don't have this. I don't have it all the way up on this either. How's that? Is that coming through better? I'll give that a second. I'll check. I also might get a little more quiet when I tilt my head over like this way versus this way. So it's definitely something I'm trying to get to where we have it right. I'm so loud, if I speak right into it, it seems like sometimes it gets a little bit too crazy. Earlier, when I was playing with it, it was I had to turn the speakers off because it was getting like feedback and stuff like that off it, because it was like when I talk, it gets loud. But that's kind of part of the gig. Definitely keep that going. Let me know. Now I'm just talking basically to keep that mic going so we can get some feed on it. La la da da da, check check check, boom 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 boom, for the way better. Sweet, that's what we want to hear. Way better. Okay, so back to work. And again, what I'm trying to do is I'm just getting these places where it's gonna be the deepest, and maybe around where the edges are. Hear the swoosh of the water. Nice. That's what we want. We want to be able to hear the swooshy. I really wish I was painting like Bob Ross, man, because like I always loved when he would slam that brush against the side of that easel he would work on. Just I loved that. So, memories, like the corner of my mind. Like I said, we're just gonna put little bits of magenta in these recesses and around, definitely around these things. I want to get this to be magenta, and it's so, this technique and what I'm going to do with it is so weird, because at first it just looks stupid and you're like, oh, this looks awful, and then once it's all up and going, it looks great. You're like, oh, that looks so much better. And you get the idea. It just takes a second. And with these big ones, it's really hard to see the technique in a quick round. You just kind of have to like show examples of it, which is definitely what I was trying to do with having those other pieces done. You can see it in this one too. in this prime where the fade is really cool. It was a lot. It's a fun little technique. I really do think that camera looks a whole lot better. I don't know how much better it looks on the upload side, but I know on my side it looks heck of better. Hella. I think we can say that. I'm not clicked on to like the one where, it's approved for kids, so I think we get to say hella. Probably. It probably is Wi-Fi. Yes, I believe so. We need to run a coaxial or whatever it needs to be run. I think when we get Cox in here, we're gonna have them do all that. Let the guys that know how to do that. But you gotta go. You gotta do what you gotta do for right now. That's kind of how I feel about it. But yes, it seems to be a big part of these problems. Because whenever the Wi-Fi is getting a little crazy, then it doesn't do well. All right. But it's the slow blade that penetrates this shield. Gonna take our time. We're gonna get it all right. I appreciate everybody's patience while we work through all these things. Whenever we get all this stuff up and going, I plan on moving the stream over to later in the evenings, or maybe doing 2 shows, one in the daytime and one in the evening. I feel like we can get a bigger viewership in the evening time on lives than we do in the middle of the day. But I felt like doing it right now is a good time to get all the kinks worked out, so that when we do that, it's a little bit easier and smoother and looks better, more professional. And get right in these cracks, and don't be afraid to let that really get magenta up. Nice. Ooh, do that right there. Anywhere where this carapace meets up, we're gonna put that magenta. It's gonna make sense later. I promise. Just seems weird at first. We're definitely getting there, though. Really feel like we're getting much better on all around. All the posting gets better. Anybody who saw my Princess Bride video, they got all put together at the very end, looked really nice. I was very happy with it. I feel like I'm getting better at editing videos all the time. I still feel like I probably should edit some of these videos down, make a montage clip video, speed it up really fast, time lapse. It'd be fun. I have no idea how to do that, though. I'll have to teach. That's my next thing I got to teach myself how to do. is to take all my videos that I put on YouTube and then scramble them and make another video out of it. Once if I can figure out how to do that, then I think we're off to the races. Because then you get to watch me paint him live, and then if you can't watch them or don't want to watch the whole thing live, you can go watch the highlight reel. Crazy thought idea that might work. Okay. I like your crazy ideas. Of course, my friend. Always available for you. Holla at me. Well, unless it's, Tuesday nights are rough, so, uh, yeah. Tuesday nights are rough. I have to take, my daughter goes to dance that day, and that's in the city, and it's at it's like 6:30 on a Tuesday, and it's not a big deal, but it does make it crazy for like trying to plan stuff for Tuesdays. Because I'm pretty much locked down in the city because I got to go pick them up in the afternoon after school and then get everybody to the city, and it gets crazy. Not that I would trade it for the world. Condense. Yeah. I think you and I had kind of like touched on that before about they have AI stuff that does all that. Um, and I definitely should look into that because like I don't have necessarily all the time to do all of the breaking it down myself. So that may actually be the way to go. Yeah. When all the kids are back in school, it's going to be a lot easier. Luckily, right now, all I have is one of them. Three of mine are back at their prospective school locations. Tomorrow is going to be crazy. Getting back on the swing of things. Winter break is over. Get in there. Again, so back to talking paint. Ooh, I drop it. Don't smash your brushes down into your stuff. You want to make sure you're getting in there, but don't like jam and grind them in there. Otherwise, they end up with or some of these. They'll end up looking all frayed and wild. Like that. You don't want your brushes to look like this. We won't talk about how that brush got like that. But there's a reason it's over there in that cup and not in that cup, because those are my brushes. But I did buy I have a bunch of cheap ones that if I need to jam it in there and do that, I have some cheaper brushes that we use for that now. It's good times. It's good times. It really is. Alright. This part takes forever. You're just going over these little holes and getting it all in there. But once we get it done, we'll head up with the wash. And we'll be ready to go. This is going to be interesting because it gets two washes. It gets one darker color and one lighter color. And then we'll come back and we'll do the blending. Because the wet blend is really cool. It's really interesting technique, and it just takes a lot of setup. You got to make sure you prep right for it. Because if you don't do all this little stuff right here and make sure everything's right to start, then your dark spots aren't dark enough and your light spots don't get light enough, and it just doesn't flow very well, you know. And again, don't be too afraid to make mistakes. We're going to come back in here and we are going to do a lot of other work. So we can definitely fix any mistakes we want. Now, and another thing you can do, these are a push fit model, so like these pieces will come out, and you don't necessarily have to paint everything put together like this. A lot of people find it easier not to. Excuse me. Oh, that hurts so much. One moment. Oh. It's to where, like, I think I, like, pulled something in my, like, down underneath my boobie. It just feels so funky. It's like coughing it, like it hurts. Hopefully it's not something bad. I don't think it is. I think it's just coughing too much. I mean, obviously I have something wrong with my lungs, but I don't think it's, the big C word. At least I hope not. There's days where I wonder. But anyway, like I said, it might be easier with some of these guys to pull them out of there if you have to. Once they're kind of together and you've started painting on them, that becomes a trickier process. So I don't necessarily, when you're to the stage we're at right now, I don't necessarily recommend it. Like I said, right now I'm not really trying to be super clean or anything like that. I don't want to worry too much about that. I just want to get it done. The wet blend is going to take care of I gotta find a good angle. The wet blend is going to take care of a lot of this, and we're gonna get it all set up to do that first. This definitely won't look like the box art typically does. My style is a little bit different. Those heavy metal guys, they like their highlighting, and I'm not, or an edge highlighting in particular. Their way they highlight is they like to draw lines on edges, and I can do that. It takes a lot of skill to be able to do it. Let me stress that first. It is a very skillful thing to be able to do. But I like a little bit more, maybe old style paint or realistic more, maybe I don't know. It's hard to say what you'd call my style on miniatures. Grungy, because it's not necessarily like dirty per se, but it is kind of grungy, which fits, since I was a big grunge fan, so I'll take it. Maybe we'll call it just grungy. Some of those little things, crevices, are really hard to get into. Might have been, like I said, this probably would have been easier to do before I assembled it. But my kids wanted to play. What do you want me to do? Kids wanted to play the game. So I put them together, and I primed them, and I let the kids play. Because I'm a good dad, dang it. There's a lot of things I'm not good at, but I'm pretty good at being a dad. I love my kids. They're pretty awesome. That's like the one thing that, like, you will definitely find the short end very quickly if you mess around with my children. I don't play that game. Except just trying to get this on here so we can get to the next stage and get started on that part, which will be, like I said, we'll be taking care of the washes from there. We're so very close. I'm really glad I did the yellow and the purple with the airbrush. It was a whole lot faster. If you don't have an airbrush, one, I understand. I spent a lot of my art time and hobby time without an airbrush. So I 100% feel your pain. 100%. That being said, oh man, get an airbrush. Even if you suck at airbrushing, it will make these kind of projects. If you're doing this sort of stuff and you want to do this sort of stuff, it'll make it a whole lot faster. Because like trying to hand brush all of this, it would be a lot. I mean, the guy it's as big as my hand. So it's a lot to come through and try and do with your little tiny hobby brushes. You wanna, if you are gonna do it with a brush, get like a big old, get a big guy, get a big guy. Like even right there, I should get out a big one to do that piece. You want one of these suckers right here, big old number 5 round, bow, fat daddy. And he don't even want to be wet. He just wants to paint. Probably should wet it down though. These bristles on this one are so wild. This is I can't remember what kind of hair this is, but it's really good for doing these projects. So if you do want to, gosh, I should look up which one this one is. I forgot which one this was. I used to know all my bristle brushes really, really well. But this one's definitely a real hair. It's not Kolinsky. It's the, oh, what's the bristlier one? But it works great if you're trying to do what we're doing right here, which is get this color smeared on here. Because I want the underneath of this thing to have this color. And remember, come back, tighten up your brush strokes. If your paintbrush feels like it's sticking, you need to get it, you need to clean it. That's a big tips for painting. Definitely that cleaning your brush thing. I'm still guilty of that, where I don't clean my brush quite as much as I should. Alright. I'll use Fat Daddy in the mouth too. We used the little one last time, and I was like, man, forget that. Let's get out Fat Daddy. These bigger ones hold a lot more paint too, so you can get more done. And it's gonna make a little bit more of a mess, but again, we're in the way early stages of this piece, so we're gonna be just fine. Hopefully we're staying in frame pretty good today. I feel like we are. Not that anybody's going to be looking all the way down in his mouth like that, but, you know, whatever. Oh. See, there I go, jamming my brush in there. Spin, come on. Nope. That one's not going to go in there. Too big. So I don't want to jammy. Especially with all them teefuses. Hey, tear us up. I want to tear up our model. Well, no, our brush. Don't want to tear up our brush. Seriously, this one. This is one of those ones I've had forever. Here's another thing. Okay, so here's another thing. I'm getting ready to put it away because I'm done messing with it for now. And I probably won't need it again for this model. So I cleaned it out. I got it wet. And then what I'll do is I'm going to pull it too. And just slightly roll the bristles. I try to organize it. This poor old brush. And this will help kind of keep them in better shape for a little while longer. And some of it's to do with the brush itself. Like if you buy cheap products, it's just not gonna. There's no sense in worrying about it, you know. But if you're buying expensive ones or not cheap ones, and you want to preserve them, trying to organize them, keep them straight up. Okay, so all right, we're still on this magenta train. Almost there. We're getting real close. Again, we're trying to get to all these little crevices and cracks. Get everything magentaed in. So we're going to come back. We're probably going to do purple on those pieces. Oh, I got to do that whole other side of that belly. Oh, that's a lot of work. I'm just going to go ahead and make this whole thing purple or magenta from there. And we got this little spot. I think this side's finally almost done though. every time I get the camera to work better, it puts me in another position where I'm like, oh well, how the heck do I do that? Because now not only am I trying to figure out how to get around the model, I got to figure out how to do it around the camera, which is interesting. But I feel like if I can master this, then it would make the channel really cool. One, we'd have a really neat channel, and two, it'll be bring more followers, and it'll make me feel like successful, accomplished. That's always good, right? People like to feel successful and accomplished. I think everybody likes that, right? Let me write down in here. Good Lord. Okay. Yes. Right in there. Okay. Maybe just bring a little bit through here too. Because again, I'm just trying to any place where it's coming to the edge, or it's exposed, or it's the deeper recesses. We want to try and give that effect. Because what we'll do is we're going to put a wash over the top of this, and then two washes. One of our raw umber and one burnt or one of the new color we're getting ready to add, which is burnt sienna, which is this guy right here, which I had forgotten in the original deal. And I didn't remember that till I was painting those guys back there that I was going to need it. But we'll come back, we'll do this color, then this color as washes on there. And what it'll do is it's going to really change the base outlook of the thing. And then once that sets, we can start doing these the wet blending, and then we'll come back and do all of our highlights and from there. A little bit more complicated than what we did with our Princess Bride project, and the witch. The witch was I did it a little bit more standard style paint, wash, highlight, base coat, highlight, or base coat, wash, highlight, code, paint. I got something else I got all too many things on my brain. Too much of this trying to figure out how to make the internets do what we want it to do, which is fun. I really like getting my super hick accent out for when I talk about the internets. Just make myself extra stupid. Not that I think hicks are particularly stupid, but there's that connotation, I live in Oklahoma, so I love a lot of hicks. There's a lot of smart hicks, just like there's a lot of smart people in every culture. Not that anybody cares to take me out of context. I'm not popular enough for anyone to care to take me out of context, but I sure do like to cover what I'm saying. And I don't wish any animosity on anybody, for the most part. I mean, unless you done me wrong. If you done me and my family wrong, then yeah, I probably do. But I'm most likely just gonna find you and settle it myself. All right, looking good, looking good. That's my Weeble. I wonder if something sold. I also tried trying to trade a little stocks. I'm okay with that. I'm not great at it, but I'm okay. Making a little bit of money. Definitely not okay to be giving anybody any kind of advice, so don't come asking. But it's neat. It's a fun little thing to learn. And who knows? Maybe I will figure it out, and we can make some more money there, and we can buy more models. I've made it so far this entire year without buying a single model. Pretty good. For me, that's really good. I haven't bought or printed one. That's even better. Oh wait, I think I may have told a lie. I think my inbox currently contain a new set of STL files for printing, which are technically new models that I bought. I haven't bought any Warhammer models. There we go. We'll preface it that way. But I'm always getting that STL. We use a lot of that one. That's from Loot, which, man, cannot say enough about their stuff. That stuff's awesome. If you're listening, Loot, by all means, please let me paint your stuff. Let me paint it. Sell it. I'd love to be able to sell it. They don't have what's called a marketing license. Like some of these companies, you can buy and sell and paint and make money off of their stuff because they don't really care, I guess, about you buying and selling it post their part in the process. Like GW here, they don't care if I paint this and I sell it. They don't care. That doesn't make any difference to them whatsoever. But to some of these smaller guys, it does make a difference, which is totally understandable. People who don't think that that's okay, that people who are running around pirating those guys' things and not doing what they're asking you to do, that's just kind of crap. There are other places out there that will let you print and sell their stuff, buy your licensing, and do the right thing. But oh man, I wish they'd let that would be the license I would buy. That'd be like the one license I would buy. Is that one, and I would just paint their stuff and I would just sell their things. Yeah, if that were possible. You hear me, Loot? You guys are amazing. Oop, I got a little bit of purple in that. See it? Right there. So we're gonna get our brush wet and just kind of pull it out. Luckily, purple and magenta are pretty close, so it should be just good. I think I just strayed over into it. Looks like. Come back with that magenta, and all's well that ends well. Yeah, this seems like it's gonna be a pretty good setup right here. I got used to this one a lot faster. Or maybe I'm just getting used to painting on cameras more. I don't know. But this seems to be working out pretty alright. Ooh, kick my mic though. Smack'ems. Oh, okay. I'll do the arms, and we'll come back, and we're going to do all these tentacles, and I think we might be washing. What time we got? Hey, we still got like 10 minutes. Killing it today. Killing it. Even with all the trying to get ready and get the mic stuff right. Which that's what's up. We need to get that mic stuff right. Super helpful. Hopefully it sounds great and everybody can hear me pretty good. And all of that. Just come back through. We're going to make sure we got everything done. I think I've said this many, many times. Make sure you got everything done before you put on your washes. You can redo things after the fact and that sort of stuff. It is possible. It just is not recommended. Come on, get down there. Get down there. There we go. Not recommended. So definitely try to get every little bit that you want done before wash. Get all that done. All right. Na. Getting jiggy with it. Okay. Right there and right there. So the psychophages, what they do, I was looking this up earlier today to find out exactly what they do. And they do eat things. They, just like everything else, they convert things. But these things in particular like to eat psychically imbued things. So like in the 40K universe, there's things called psychers, which are basically they're wizards. Space wizards. We'll say space wizards. So psychers and people who are imbued with the psychic energy channel what's called the warp, which is another world or another realm, and they use that energy to do certain things that are similar to magical effects. That's probably because Games Workshop originally came from, swords and sorcery and stuff like that. So they're still keeping that. They kept their, roots for it. They even have space elves and space dwarves. Although I guess they're not supposed to be called that anymore. They're League of Volton. They used to call them the Squats. Although everybody tries to say that those are two different races. I don't know if that's true. I liked the Squats. I thought they were fun. It was a long time ago. Alright, so with our tentacles, we're going to start them off with that red, but we'll fade them. We're going to fade them up as it comes out. I might even do them like we did the other ones, where the tips of them are the magenta colored. Kind of a unruly thing to move around in your hands. It with its little fin on there and everything, it gets a little funky. All right. Fins plural, I guess. There's several of them. His exhaust ports. I like that. Exhaust ports. That's kind of what they are. Anyway, so this thing eats the wizard or the psyker, and then turns that, it digests that energy and uses it to create a blast of that energy, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool thing, you know? I'm not worried about getting the definition between these two tentacles, because we're going to pull all that out with the washes, and then the rest of it will when we start doing our wet blend, we can get a lot more of the differentiations between the tentacles. We just want to get it started before the washes so that we can get the deeper colors to have the right starting point. If I were painting this, like, if I didn't have an airbrush and I had just been painting this to paint this, I would have done this straight on the primer instead of done the yellow on the primer and then come back and done this. Just because you'd be able to get a better effect that way. But it would take a much longer amount of time to do this if you were going to do it that way. That would take a lot longer in the end, because painting all that yellow it takes a while. That's already like 2 coats of it because it's such a pain. Yellow does not like to stay down, and it almost always shows through. You could probably do this effect I'm going to do pretty easily with an airbrush, but I'm trying not to do it. I'm trying to do see, I'll put it right in purple. I'm trying to do as much stuff without the airbrush as possible because I know that people don't have them and that it's an investment. Like, you're not. I completely understand the people who don't have them and why they don't have them. Totally get it. That's why I try to. So I'm going to try to do as much of this without the use of an airbrush as possible. See, I got purple in it again. Good Lord. See, purple again. Well, that may be the only disadvantage to having that palette over there. I'm going to be dragging colors occasionally. I'll just have to get used to that. I like having the palette out there. That works really, really well. Do. Oop, knock that thing around. Yeah, this is gonna look gnarly. Woo! Okay. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'll leave some of this stuff in these detail cracks alone. We can always come back and mess with that later. Kind of fill it in. It's time to throw some of these washes on here and get started on that process because it always just feels so naked till that's in there or on there. Okay. So for washes, that's what we do want that frayed crazy brush for. If you do have one of those brushes that maybe your children have frayed to pieces, then you know, it's great. This one wasn't too bad though. This is like it's a synthetic tip from Liquitex. So yeah, not too bad. Silly light thing. So we're just, from this, it's really easy. Just going to put a little bit in there. Take a little bit of my trusty H2O. Add a little bit of water to it. And we're going to thin this out like super thin. Now you can put other things in it. If it doesn't seem to be like getting down into the cracks right, sometimes you add like, and this sounds weird, but just like a tiny, tiny drop of soap to the water that you're using. It helps change the viscosity, and it'll sink into the cracks and stuff better. You can also use, like I use an armor wash. We were talking about the armor wash in the last in the last video. I use an armor wash that has oil in it. It's oil paint and mineral spirits, and that also runs into cracks really, really well. But they're black. That's black, and I don't want black. For this particular project, we want it to be this dark, dark brown. And I think I'm going to need just a little bit more of our raw umber. I got some new lights from my Star Destroyer. I don't know if you can really tell, but yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm just going to put a little bit down there. We don't use a whole lot on this project, but this is one of those base colors that, this is the color of mud and dirt. This is the color of whenever there's light outside in the world and there's like a shadow underneath something, that shadow is based on the colors around it. And those shadows, more often than not, are going to be more of a brown tint or a green tint or a blue tint, not black. It won't be black. So I like to use this dark umber, or this raw umber, for my washes on anything that's like fleshy. And we are literally just going to come through and let this find the cracks. That is the name of the game. We let it. The fun thing about projects this big is that they'll this paint's already dry before we got here. There's not a lot of like waiting around for it to dry. Those other ones we were waiting a lot in between different things to get them to dry out. This doesn't. Oh, I probably should come back and done a little bit of work on that, huh? Hey, see, and there I was talking to you about this very thing. You gotta check. See? Even I do it. Gotta check. Got to check. We probably need to touch this little place up here. Just put a little paint on it to kind of help it blend up. These washes are going to take care of most of that. And like I said, we're going to come back and we're going to do a lot of blending later on down the road. Right now, we just want to get this wash to start. And it'll take 2 rounds of this wash, this brown wash, to get this flesh to set up right. And then we'll switch to another brown wash after that before we go to our wet blend. As you can see how that's going to really start filling in these cracks for us. And it's already starting to take away some of those rougher edges. And as it dries, it'll really hold that. It'll really do that for us. Because all this stuff will be up underneath everything. Especially these cracks, because we'll work more on the tops of everything and less on the in the crevices. We're just trying to make sure we get these crevices filled with some sort of a darker color to fade them back. We want to push them back, and we want to bring all the other stuff forward. So that's what we're doing right here, is we're pushing the cracks back. And as you can see, as it settles in, it lets the tops come out. And this is very similar to what a speed paint would do. It's just a more, they have a different pigment they use for that. So it's not quite the same thing, although it's close. Like I said, this is probably going to take more than 1 round. And when we do the carapace, we're gonna do it in another color entirely. Which is why I'm gonna turn these purple, but I don't need to worry about that yet. I can do that later on. But we'll use Payne's gray to do the carapaces. And I'll do that after I get all the flesh stuff done. Kind of want to work in the deepest section out. It's not necessarily true for all miniatures, but it's definitely true for this one. And we're up to 12 viewers. That's really cool. Thanks for everybody for coming by. Anybody who's still sitting there watching, really appreciate you stopping in. It's really, really nice to have people, stopping in. Makes it feel like I'm not doing this for no reason. Okay, and again, we're just gonna let this wash dry on this guy. I'll try to get all that done, and then we're gonna put a different color wash on it after that. I may save that for tomorrow, because I think we are just about out of time. Just make sure we get all of it done. There we go. Now we're starting to see a little bit more of the details of this thing. Okay, fold a little bit of it out. That thinner paint is going to dry, and what it'll do is it'll dry in the cracks and leave our magenta coming out for us, which is exactly what we want to do. Okay, then the next one is going to be another color to go and fade that up one more time. I'll probably come back and fix that up a little bit. There's a little bit of that magenta on there, but you guys we're starting to see the idea coming along, and then as it goes, it's a process. So just like getting everything set up on here is a process. Big shout out and big thanks to Crypto Mikkel for all the help he's given me. If you're into the crypto scene, go check him out. He does a lot of things about mining crypto and stuff like that. Way over my head. I don't understand it very well, but he knows his stuff, and he's been super helpful. So big shout out to him. Big thanks to everybody who likes and subscribes my videos and all that stuff. Huge thank you. It makes me feel like I'm doing something cool and something right. If this is your first time, please give me a like and subscribe. Ring the bell button, all that good stuff. It really is helpful. It helps number one, it really helps lift the spirit of the people that are doing the filming. Like that, I can tell you 100% on my end. Like every time I see we get a new subscriber, it's like, oh yeah, we got another one. And the view times are awesome. Actually, that's really cool. We finally had our first weekend where we had viewer time going on throughout the whole weekend. We didn't have a drop. It was a drop, but we didn't go all the way to 0 when we dropped, which is the first time since we started doing this. So that's cool. Go check out the final Princess Bride video. It's on there. It looks great. It's here on YouTube, so check that out. I think that's all. We're going to be back tomorrow with more of the Psychophage, and we might do a little bit of work on our Screamer Killer, which will be fun. Here's a Screamer Killer. So, until then, I'm going to keep working on some of the other little units, the Termagants and stuff like that, which they're not. Oh, actually, this will show you what it looks like when all the. I've got a lot of the washes on this one so far to kind of give you an idea of what it's going to look like before we start doing the blend. It looks really muddy. So that's all that. We're 8 minutes over. I usually try to wrap these things at about an hour. So I